Hey, welcome to the second episode of Divine Guidance Institute with Dr. Nic and Mike. Today we are talking about stress, anxiety, and sleepless nights. Would you know that sound is the simple solution? As we like to say, just say Hugh. Yep, that's right, two simple letters. Who isn't stressed out these days? Just the daily pace of living with all the electronic distractions, the white noise, the traffic and general disharmony leave the average individual running for a Valium or a yoga class. How can we begin to cope with the stress of living without turning to pharmaceuticals and a therapist? Actually, the solution is really simple, and no prescription is needed, no therapist required. By chanting two simple letters, we can transform a stressful situation into a peaceful experience almost instantly. Yep. Michael?
Yeah, the healing power of sound is actually well known but generally forgotten in the humdrum activity and stress of today's demanding pace. Sound is a very powerful thing. Recall the Memorex commercial with Ella Fitzgerald. The vibration of her voice literally shattered the glass. And then recall the story in the Bible, the Battle of Jericho, in which sound emitted from large horns was used to knock down the walls completely. In contrast, sound is used in the medical field for healing, as in ultrasound. The power of toning or chanting has been shown to increase the amount of oxygen to the body while balancing emotional swings, and certain sound frequencies dramatically impact brain wave function. Music, for example, was used to induce frenzy as well as calm. If we attend a rock concert, we can feel the frenzy of the crowd. The emotions run high and the behavior is very frenetic.
Hey, it sure is, Michael. Absolutely. Before we get into some other stuff, I want to give you the technique. It's called Hugh, H-U, Hugh. And it goes like this. All you do is inhale, and you simply say Hugh. Hugh. You can do that out loud or silently for 1 minute or up to 20 minutes a day. Heck, you can even do it while you're doing the dishes. It is so user friendly. And I wanted to give you that for now.
Yeah, and it's really very, very flexible because I use it when I'm driving to keep from getting angry at people cutting me off or maybe sitting at the light after the lights changed. And you can use the sound of hue softly, like a whispering hue, like the wind, or simply like Nicole did it. There are many different ways that you can use the hue, and you can use it all day long or all night long.
On the other hand, bookstores, they play soothing, melodic music to induce a tranquil, serene feeling. Sound has been used by different cultures of the world for meditation and healing, as Michael mentioned earlier. Native Americans used drums, flutes, and chants in their dances and rituals. Shamans use the sound of the flute to transport the listener to a different realm, not attached to time and space. Drums are then used to bring the listener back to this reality. From MRIs to the chanting of the Buddhist monks, sound has been used to heal for centuries.
Actually, the hue as a healing sound, an extraordinary cure for stress, has been in use for thousands and thousands of years by many different cultures and religious groups as a means to have greater conscious contact with God. Hugh is an ancient sacred name for God. The Oxford English Dictionary states the word God can be derived from the Sanskrit word hue, hue. The Egyptians and Greek traditions of maybe 5,000 years ago talk about the use of the word hue as a reference to God. Christian Gregorian chant of 900 AD, the Sufis, the mystics, the saints of Tibet, ancient practices of Taoism, Druid history, approximately 4,000 years ago, and certainly the Kabbalah, all talk about the word hue as being the originating sound of the universe. As a matter of fact, the word human, Human, human comes from the word hue man, meaning God within man.
The beauty of using hue for stress not only alleviates symptoms, it addresses and heals the cause of the problem. How many times have you been stuck wondering, what should I do now? When in doubt, hue it out. We have found in these moments of indecision and stress, it's best to take a minute to clear the channel. In other words, you simply need to silence the stress and access the correct answer. By hewing, we quiet the background noise so the right answer presents itself. This is going to result in ongoing heightened awareness, discernment, and accuracy. If you haven't already done so, it's certainly time to get your hue on. You know, another thing we do is we refer to the hue as the activator. Michael likes to call it the ignition or the igniter. And you know, we have these innate powers within us. We all do. It doesn't matter about what faith you belong to or lack thereof. You know, everyone dreams every night, everyone's witnessed a synchronicity or a sign, and everyone's certainly had a gut feeling. And back to the hue, hue, that's the activator or the igniter to activate your powers. It turns up the volume on spirit. Mike, did you want to add
And I
something?
just wanted to add that I have found the hue works 100% of the time. All the thousands and thousands of people that we've worked with in the industry, people we've met on shows and the media, everywhere, all the people we've met on the streets, every single person always got back to us usually and said, "Oh my God, I could really feel that. It really made a difference. I'm no longer depressed." And the only time it didn't work is if people weren't open enough to at least try it for 1 minute. So my recommendation is give it a minute or two, try it, and you will feel it.
Hey, Mike, why don't you tell them about PTSD and NAM?
For me, it was a life changer. The hue is a life changer, and that is when I came back from Vietnam, 1970. I was in the infantry, so northern Vietnam, lots of conflict in combat with all the bad guys with AK-47s shooting at me. When I got back, I had severe PTSD, nightmares almost every night. I'd wake up sometimes laying on the living room floor with an automatic weapon in my hand and locked and loaded. Um, I found the hue, and it's not to mention also that I was depressed. I was suicidal from time to time. It would go through different phases, but it would come and go. When I found the hue, I started hewing. And over a period of time, all of the symptoms disappeared. The depression, the anxiety, the nightmares, the suicidal ideation. And I felt clear and clean, and I used no medications, no doctors, and no therapy, simply the hue, because that is how powerful it truly is. It changed my life.
It certainly did, you know, and we work with veterans. You know, we're a nonprofit, 501c3, and probably 9 months ago, I had a client, and he had PTSD the entire time from NAM up to present day, and then we started working together, and the PTSD was bad. It was bad. He was actually run over. He was in a Jeep, a regular Jeep, and it was run over by a tank, an actual tank, not a Humvee, a tank. And he barely got out alive, you know. And I won't go into the details, certainly. It's far too graphic, but so the PTSD lasted severe. I mean, severe. He used to say if he's walking down the street and smells diesel, he'd throw up instantly. He used to drink every single night to get to sleep, and he used to have nightmares every night. We started working together. Anyway, he started hewing, hewing, every night before bed. And in a matter of 30 days, the drinking subsided. It decreased, initially it decreased, then subsided to, a glass of wine here and there. The nightmares stopped, and all the symptoms ultimately left. And it's the most amazing thing. We only worked together, I would say probably like 3 or 4 months. And he was totally cool, totally alleviated from all of these horrific PTSD symptoms. So, it doesn't matter what's going on, as Michael mentioned, his deal with NAM or this other client with NAM and the other vets we've worked with,
And we've run into a lot of people with serious problems. I mean, suicidal. And they were on the ragged edge when they got a hold of us, and we shared the hue with them.
Well, actually, let me tell that story, Michael.
All right, go ahead.
This is someone we didn't even know, and he's not a client, and he emails us, and he's in Washington. His testimonial's on the back of our book, actually. But let me continue. He emails us and he says, "Hey, I'm suicidal. We're not clients. I don't know you, but..." And I always ask, and this is what you do, even though he's not a client, I say, "Hey, do you have a plan? Do you have a weapon?" That's how you can, sense someone's seriousness. And he said, "Yeah, I want to jump in Crater Lake." And there's no way out of Crater Lake. It's a big crater that happened back then. And it formed a lake that you really can't get out of. So he said, "I'm going to jump in Crater Lake and drown. And that's the way I want to go." And so, he's not officially a client, and this is all email. Bottom line, we said, "Please try the hue, try the hue. We promise it's going to work. It's going to work. But anyway, do the hue and get back with us." And he got back with us in a few days. And what he said, Michael, you want to read the testimonial?
Yeah. Go ahead, Nick. You read it.
All right. He said, "Thank you. I'm fine, da-da-da-da-da. But here's the testimonial. Hewing has helped me get over that obsessive, oppressive, urgent, seemingly hopeless drive to kill myself and see other options." And so there you go. This guy was ready to do it, ready to do the deal. It's interesting. The hue, it changes your vibrations and your molecular structure. And as Michael mentioned, it tunes you from the inside out. Just like if you're gonna tune up a vehicle, a car, you're gonna change the spark plugs, this and that, so it runs smooth. The hue tunes your central nervous system in the same way. Simply put, you've got your central nervous system comprised of cells, comprised of atoms, comprised of subatomic particles. And these particles vibrate at a certain rate and frequency in everybody, in everything, whether it's your couch, your cat, your car, your blue jeans, or yourself. Everything vibrates at a rate and frequency. So, and it's really called a quantum signature. But anyhow, by hewing, the vibration of the hue is so powerful and harmonious. That is how and why it works on a human and changing the vibrations.
Which is why when you change, people say, how can the hue work so fast? Somebody who's suicidal, ready to kill themselves, and now they're feeling better. When you change the vibrations, you literally and actually change the reality. You cannot hue and feel depressed. You cannot hue and feel anxiety. They go away. You go, if those things, anxiety and depression and fear, are at a 2 on the scale of 1 to 10, hue is up there at a 10. And it takes you to a different location internally in your emotions and your feelings. That's why it works so fast and is so effective.
Yeah, we call it sound is the simple solution. And we even coined a word, solution. Soul, S-O-U-L, solution. We consider the hue to be the universal panacea. The hue, it's a universal tool. It provides relief 100% of the time. You can use it for anxiety or stress or nightmares or insomnia or addiction, centering yourself, clarity, decision making. Hueing will enhance your current protocol. You may find in time you can do away with a certain prescription or therapy. However, that's something to be determined between you and your medical professional or your therapist later. But what we want to say is, and actually this is what I tell all the clients, add the hue. I don't care what you're doing. You're smoking crack, you're whatever does not matter. Add the hue. And what happens is things start changing, things start shifting. And the clients have come back and said, oh my God, I want to bring my methadone dose down. And they've been on 100 milligrams for 8 years. And now all of a sudden they're ready. I'm ready to quit smoking. We're not as angry, this, that, and the other. So I always say, just add the hue. Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about your problem. Heck, just add the hue every day and things will start shifting.
And they do. It's very, very effective. I ran into a guy in Mexico not that long ago, sitting talking to him at a table. He was a stranger. And we sat at the same table and we got to talking about things. And he said, hey, he was smoking a cigarette. And I asked him how long he'd been smoking. And he said, Mike, I was a heroin addict and an alcoholic. And he went down the list. He said, for years of my life. And smoking, of course. And he said, I've kicked it all. He said, I've kicked it all, but I still smoke. He said, I've never been able to get below a half a pack. And he said, I've been working on that. The heroin's gone, the alcohol's gone. And I gave him the hue. I shared it with him. And I ran into him a week later. And he said, you know what? He said, I am down to a cigarette or two a day. And that has never happened over 70 years of my life. And he said, the hue really is working for me. So that's how effective it is.
Yeah, and before we go on, I want to share one other client story. It's just as profound. Client and at the methadone clinic, we worked together for 7 years. The first 5 years of sessions, he would not hue. He was an anti-huer, literally. And that's cool. Hey, I meet you where you are. I don't try to do anything. I respect free will far too much. Anyway, 5 years in, and all of a sudden, he wants to start hewing. So he starts hewing. So the last 2 years of our relationship in therapy, he's hewing. Now, keep in mind, he had been on methadone for about 20 plus years, smoked cigarettes regularly. He was on psychotropic medication, your Paxil and whatnot. And he was on benzos. And he used to drink alcohol daily, in addition to his daily methadone dose. He was also a rage addict. He used to carry 20 knives on his person simultaneously as protection, ready to throw down. So there you go. I just laid it out. All these addictions and afflictions. So he starts hewing after 5 years together. And before you know it, he dropped the cigarettes. The methadone dose he decreased and came off. Got rid of the psychotropics, got rid of the benzos, stopped drinking, again, stopped smoking. The dose came all the way down and off the methadone. Stopped with the rage, stopped carrying 20 knives. He went to 0. Everything shifted for him. Everything. Through hewing. We didn't do anything different except he finally was willing to hew. And he overcame all of those addictions and afflictions. So that's why we like to say, just add the hue. Don't worry about it. Do it out loud or silently. We don't care. It's so user-friendly. You can lay on the couch, do it before bed. Again, do it while you're doing the dishes. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
So here's the issue and the point, to get right to the point, to kind of summarize it for you. All problems, life problems in general, stem from our individual state of consciousness. Certain states of consciousness promote wrong thinking, and this type of thinking creates disharmony. Now, this disharmony manifests itself in the form of stress, anxiety, and depression that often mask themselves with pharmaceuticals and overindulgence, rarely, if ever, getting to the heart of the matter. Well, the hue uplifts your state of consciousness, changing things from the inside out.
Nice, nice, really nicely put. Again, I'm gonna go over the hue technique with you. And as you know, it's simple. It uses sound. It's called hue, H-U, and it goes like this: hue. The hue is the universal tool, provides relief 100% of the time. It's a 3-step, guarantees success. It's really not a 3-step. We call it one-step therapy. Actually, that's the name of our book, One-Step Therapy. Just say hue, the universal panacea for all that ails you. And here's your one-step therapy right here. You're going to inhale, you're going to exhale while saying hue, and you're going to repeat. Do this 5 to 20 minutes daily, and you'll feel better in no time. Let me repeat that. The one-step therapy, we also call it one magic word, actually. Inhale, exhale while saying hue, like hue, out loud or silently. Repeat. Do this 5 to 20 minutes daily. You'll feel better in no time.
You know, people often ask us, is this some sort of spiritual humming technique? What is it exactly? And they think that it's lightweight, that it's non-scientific. What's the science? There's no science behind this. Well, actually, it's a matter of quantum physics, and it's been proven. The hue retunes your central nervous system just like you tune up a piano. Quantum physics states that everything in the universe vibrates at its own particular frequency. And this frequency is known as a quantum signature. You have a quantum signature, I have one, and everybody in the universe does, and it's different. The hue retunes that frequency. When we hue, we literally harmonize our atoms and our subatomic particles. This releases us from the negative vibrations like stress, fear, anger, sadness, depression, suicidal ideation, and tension.
In addition, our electromagnetic field or aura protects us against negative emotional states such as stress or anxiety. So when we hue, we stay positive while creating good vibes and building a solid auric field. I'm going to elaborate on that in a minute. When we're in this negative state, this in turn weakens our electromagnetic field. It leaves us open to surrounding negative emotions. If you've ever noticed, you can be at home and things are cool and you go in the grocery store, and after that, then you come out and you're kind of depressed and you're wondering, like, what the heck happened? Well, it's actually everyone's quantum signature is blending out there in the world. And so if someone else has frenetic energy, negative energy, depression, it seeps through literally into our own electromagnetic field. It's really contagious, if you will. So by hueing, it builds up the force field so it doesn't penetrate. And Michael and I actually, we have photos. We'll get into that another time, but we have aura photos that we took together over 8 years. It's actually over a 15-year period, but there's 8 aura photos we took. We took one, then we did one another year, and then we skipped a couple years and did another one. And what we were testing was hewing over time. We wanted to see how it changed our aura literally over time. So we captured this with the aura photography. And the more hidebound you are, it's yellows. It's reds and greens and murky and this type of thing. And as you unfold spiritually, you go towards your purples and your blues and your yellows and your whites. If you ever see a picture of a saint, usually they have a halo of a white aura, this type of thing. Anyhow, and sure enough, the photos depict going from those hidebound earthy colors all the way to the blues, the yellows, the whites, the purples. So, we've captured this data in the aura photos. We also captured it with EEGs, going from your alpha to your theta, your delta, and your beta states. And, we won't get into that too much, but I'm just simply saying that we've tracked the data far and wide, through the EEG, through the aura photos, through our own lives, and, countless others that we've been sharing this with, clients for decades. So we really hope that, you give it a try. Anyway, back to this, I want to say the frequency adjustment protects us from negativity. It radiates outwardly, creating peace and harmony. In this way, we control the vibe within ourselves. We control our own vibe, and this insulates us from that negativity in the surrounding environment that we just talked about. So that way you can use the hue for protection against that emotional contagion, keeps yourself in a state of joy or love and serenity. Michael likes to say how the universe is a mirror and it reflects back exactly what we put out. So true, so true. And this explains the phenomenon that when you feel great on the certain days and the whole world smiles back, it's no wonder they're just responding to your frequency of joy and happiness, if that's what you're holding. And we're simply saying, just say hue, and it'll keep you in that state. Oh. Michael, do you want to say anything? I got a couple more things to say, but.
Yeah, I just wanted to for me, I want to wrap up and say, to encapsulate it, if you wonder if the hue works and you're wondering about its effectiveness, simply be open-minded enough to try the hue for a minute or two, and you will feel it in your solar plexus. You will feel it as a harmonizing agent. And we like to call hue the holy grail of life. You've heard about the holy grail. Well, the true holy grail of life is the hue.
Nice. Hey, I want to read a couple testimonials. Now that I hue before bed, when I wake up, the Xanax is still on the nightstand, the ashtray is still empty, and the Diet Coke is still unopened. I was having a full-blown panic attack, and the hue literally saved my life. That one comes from Texas. The hue cured my insomnia and allowed me to sleep through the night for the first time in as long as I can remember. That one came from California. Oh, this is a good one. I've been on my spiritual path for about 10 years and just recently been drawn to doing voice toning. I've been doing the A-E-I-O-U and the Om and Ah, but I was amazed with the results I personally received from saying hue. I've been stressed in so many areas of my life recently, and just by using your hue method, I feel like I'm high on a drug. My whole being vibrates, and I'm calm and peaceful. It dramatically impacted me in such a short time. I feel this needs to be shared with the whole world. It's such a simple but powerful technique for relieving stress. That one came from Michigan. We'll give you a couple more and then we'll close.
Just a quick note on the California one. The guy had his insomnia cured, literally. I used to work with him, and he used to come to work every day and say, "Mike, I haven't slept in months, 3 months, 4 months." I said, "You must be sleeping or else you'd be dead." And he laughed, and I shared the hue with him. I said, "Okay, tonight when you can't sleep, try the hue." And so the next morning he comes in. I said, "Hey, did you try the hue?" He said, it's a funny story. He said it was midnight and I sat down and then I lay down in bed. I was trying to go to sleep and I remembered the hue. You'd shared it with me. So he said, I tried the hue. And after trying it, he said, eventually I opened my eyes and he said, I thought to myself, well, that didn't work. And then I looked at my clock and it was 7 a.m. He went sound asleep and never woke up.
Wow. How about that, huh?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the hue.
That is the hue. Here we go. Here's a couple more. Saying hue really worked when I was getting off the methadone. It eased the cravings. Thank you so much. Here's one from Texas. Oh, this is really cool because inadvertently, the client tested the hue with an oximeter for oxygen. And here we go. We got the stats. One day, David was sitting in his chair watching TV. He did not have his oxygen on at the time. He tested his oxygen level using an oximeter. His oxygen level was down between 82 and 84. Normal is 94 to 100. David began using the Hue technique, and within 2 to 3 minutes, his oxygen level was up to 95. The Hue really worked for him. I told him, now you don't have to panic if you are out. You don't have your oxygen tank with you. You feel your oxygen level is going down. All you have to do is Hue. Praise the Lord. And you talk about newborn babies? Here we go. Thanks again for the gift of Hue. I can't tell you how grateful I am. I had not gotten more than 3 hours of sleep a night since Tyler was born 1 month ago. I was exhausted and starting to lose it. After the Hue got me and Tyler through that episode, I started Hueing regularly, and I actually gotten sound sleep ever since. Granted, it's only been a couple days since I learned to Hue, but it's already saved me and the baby Friday night and has gotten me more sleep than I've gotten in a month. No words can express my gratitude. It's like you gave me gold. I feel so much better since I've been able to sleep. And the baby's showing night and day improvement as well. Thanks again. You are a lifesaver.
Remember, sound is the solution. Just say you.
All righty. Signing off. Until next time, Dr. Nic and Mike. Thanks.